Greetings, this is the Timeshare Traveler. Today is episode 74, the Frugal Timeshare with Costco. I've been asked by some of my viewers that what do I do to keep costs down, and I leverage Costco. And I have a real basic meal plan, a lunch and dinner that I have. Then you can expand on that with grocery stores, but that way I can get the bulk pricing, but not be overwhelmed with so much food. So before I go into that, I'll tell you a little bit about my channel, then I'll go into the overview and show you examples of what I do for my Costco to keep my timeshare traveler costs down. Hi, my name is Cliff and I'm the Timeshare Traveler. The purpose of this channel is to provide education and knowledge for those interested in timeshares. I've been a timeshare owner for over 15 years. I'm an elite owner with Marriott Vacation Club, Hilton Grand Vacations, and Worldmark by Wyndham. I've also posted over 70 timeshare video reviews of different locations, and I've posted 40 timeshare video tips. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button below, and I can be found at Timeshare Trav on Twitter and Facebook, and my website is www.timesharetraveler.com. Let's take a look at the overview for Timeshare Traveler episode 74. So really the overview is using Costco to keep the food costs low, because one of the advantages of being in timeshares is that you can cook, and then so I get to vacation more or live more on the road because I keep my food costs to the minimum, not eating out in restaurants and so forth. So what I've got is I've got a basic lunch, and I'll include some video of the actual food, a basic dinner, and I really just keep it to really simple things, and you can expand on that. And then I have a set of optional purchases, which is not exhaustive, it just give you a flavor of what you can do. And again, the point here is to keep the basics simple and low cost, but let me go into the detail. Okay, here's some facts about using Costco to keep food costs low. First of all, Costco's are near many airports. It seems to be, I'm not sure, but I think that's what that must be a strategy. And it's usually my first stop before I arrive at a timeshare. Now, if I'm driving across country, I might have some leftovers from a prior one, and I have a cooler for that. The other thing is Costco gas prices are usually 25 cents a gallon cheaper. And I just buy my basics to fill in, and then fill in with stuff at the grocery stores, because obviously people are aware that it's bulk generally, but it's good bulk, but it's not a wide variety. So it's probably not surprising to those who know Costco. And it more than covers my $60 a year membership by the savings. Carry a small cooler to transport from timeshare to timeshare. I've even used it in Hawaii, and I've even booked it, taken more stuff in an airplane, because it's actually a carry-on, and I've gotten it through the airport in Hawaii from island to island. So it's a well-traveled cooler. It's not huge, but I have a video of that, and I'll show you that. Costco prices in Hawaii are similar to the mainland. I've been surprised. I actually haven't got it written up exact, but I probably could go into the Costco website and find out the difference. But they're not. They're substantially pretty good. So to me, it makes being in Hawaii all of a sudden a reasonable place. Usually your costs in Hawaii are that the food costs, the restaurants, and a lot of the activities. And in general, I'm enjoying the actual nature, so I don't go out of my way to spend extra. So the food being comparable makes Hawaii comparable to being anywhere else in the U.S. And again, my last point again about the airports in Hawaii, I know where they are there, and in Kona, right near the airport, Lihue, right by the airport, and also Kaluhui in Maui. So all three of the islands that I typically go to, there's a Costco there. And again, it's my first stop. I get the Uber, and then you just add a stop, and then you stop at the Costco. And most people, at least in Hawaii, for sure, don't do it. And usually I drive to it when I'm on the mainland. Here's my constant travel companion. It's the little tiny cooler. What I like about it is it has a little handle on it, so you can roll it up, and then you can walk through the airport with it. And you can see that I've actually flown in Hawaii, because there's the inspection sticker. I got this at the Westin Kaanapali. It's a luggage rack, and I got it for free. You just open it up, and you can open it up, and then you can put stuff in there, and I usually put ice in there. In fact, I'll have the frozen chicken frozen with it, might be leftover going from timeshare to timeshare. So I travel with this pretty much anywhere I go. I think it's just to give you a sense, I have fairly large hands, but you can reach down in and you can see it's about 12 inches by 8 inches and maybe a foot to a foot and a half deep. So it's not huge, but it's enough just to take the basics, and I try to manage my cooking so that there's not much left over. Let's start with my basic lunch, and I only eat 2 meals a day. I'm following intermittent fasting, so I try to eat within an 8-hour window, and that usually is lunch and dinner. So what I do is I buy organic eggs, and the price that I've seen it's similar sometimes to grocery store prices. I get the brown organic eggs 24 at a time, and I get organic sauerkraut, or sometimes I do kimchi if I want something spicy. But again, that's for probiotics. And I have organic olive oil, and that's what I do when I cook my eggs. I tend to buy breads as well. So I buy either sourdough or keto bread. Sourdough tends to process the gluten in the bread, so it's a little more healthy. And then the last thing I should say is I used either salt and pepper from the room, but I also want to mention Kinder Spice. There's a various ones. I usually get the salt, pepper, and garlic to go, but there's the butter one is the other one I can often get. Anyway, so that's my basic lunch. And again, you can embellish on that and add sausage or other things, or add fruit. But again, that's typically, I'm not getting that at Costco. I would get that at a grocery store. But I can get Costco. I've done pineapples and various other things. So let me go on to dinner. So this is my basic breakfast, slash I use it for lunch. But I do normally I have the Costco olive oil, but I happen to pick up some Trader Joe's olive oil. So I'm using typically organic that I get at Costco. And then there's I happen to be using the blend, the salt, pepper, garlic seasoning that I use more for dinner as well. And then there's the bread. This happens to be the keto bread, but I like sourdough preference. And again, I typically get the organic eggs, pasture raised, 24 eggs at a time, and the raw organic sauerkraut, because that gives me probiotics. So that's really good. So this is just really the basics I get for my breakfast slash lunch. Now let's talk about my basic dinner. And again, you need to take what I'm doing here. This is just a general guidance to keep it basic, keep it simple. You can save a lot of money. Then it's not such a big deal if you're buying in bulk, because you can move through it because you don't have lots of things in bulk. So you just keep it simple. And then you add those things. And again, if you're in a larger family, you can do more with that. So I tend to cook on the grill or on the oven. I'm not, as far as dinner goes, I'm not typically cooking on the stove. I cook with organic olive oil, as I mentioned, for the same as my lunch. I buy the organic chicken breast. It's kind of my staple. And it's interesting, the price that I've seen is getting comparable to the non-organic in a grocery store. And the packets actually, and I'll show you in the video, I've got a video of my basic dinner. You can actually cut up the packages. They usually come in 3 packets for the organic, and you can cut them up and put some in the freezer. That helps in a couple ways. You can make them last a little longer if you're buy multiple. If you're there for 2 weeks, I'll buy them all at once. I won't do multiple trips to Costco. So that works, because then you can also, when you transfer from timeshare to timeshare, you're actually using the frozen chicken as kind of ice cubes in the cooler. Again, I season with Kinder Spice. That's something I do. Vegetables, I stick pretty much to the basic 3, which is the organic broccoli, organic squash, and the asparagus. Those are my favorites. And again, broccoli is more for the oven. The squash and zucchini, I guess, is the grill, and so is asparagus, can be the grill or the oven. Sometimes I buy rice, but not always, and that's probably rare, because usually in Costco the problem is you're going to buy a huge amount, and so if I'm flying from an island to an island, I may not do that. I'll get that at the grocery store if I want to have that. So that's my basic dinner, and I'll show you a video of that shortly. And here's my basic dinner. I don't have the asparagus that I list in the sort of presentation, but here's the organic chicken, and it's broken into 3, and each one of them has 2 breasts in it. So I'll cut right along here, and you can actually put them in packets. So when I'm at a place, and I tend to just use the 1 packet at a time, and then I have the others in the freezer, and then when I finish the last one and the second one, I take one of them out of the freezer. So I just sort of cycle through it. And then this is the organic mixed squash I use. And again, this is typically when I'm gonna grill. I'll use the chicken and then grill with the squash. And then if I'm gonna eat it using the oven, I'll use the organic broccoli. I don't shred the asparagus like I mentioned, but I also mix it in, and it goes both good on the grill and good. But this is just a basic dinner. There's many more things you can do, but I just try to have the basics. My optional purchases, they're pretty simple. I'll get a bag of almonds, and that's my snack, although it's a fairly high-calorie snack. And I like the Costco box wine, and that's really just because it's just me traveling. So, you don't have to worry about if you open it up, it doesn't, like a bottle of wine. That's too much for me to drink in 2 days, maybe maximum 3. So I don't drink every day, and I don't want to start just so I can finish a bottle of wine. So the Costco box will last for several weeks, and it's 3 liters, so it's way more than enough wine that I need, and I'll do that. Every now and then I'll get a generic vodka or the local whiskey/rum. I like to get the Hawaiian coconut rum, and I actually drink it straight, and it's just, to me, it's very sippable, very enjoying. I have a joke about the Hawaiian one. I call it the Mounds Bar. It's a mixture of the coconut rum and the chocolate rum. So sometimes I also get collagen powder. I like to have that in the evenings, kind of as a filler. It's a good healthy snack. And in Hawaii, I'm buying fish, sometimes salmon as well, and that's more on the mainland. And I will from time to time buy some steak or pork. I will say also, if I'm driving around a lot doing tourist things and I have a car, or even if I have my own car, I sometimes get the sandwiches in the deli or sushi, because they're inexpensive and they last for a couple days. Kind of a bulk thing, but it's kind of cool. And I'll get the water in the gallon or the larger size, whatever I can find at the Costco, because the prices are pretty good, and I try not to get too many plastic bottles. And again, if I'm not flying, I consider that rice kind of as an optional one, even though I put it in the dinner as well. Again, that's what I have for my frugal travel. And again, it's really basic, and I add all the mustard and ketchup and so forth from the grocery stores, and if I want to get all kinds of other things like that, all your basics. So I'm just keeping Costco so I can keep the core part of the meals less expensive. So that makes traveling in timeshares comparable to living at home. And so I basically can do that. Pretty much Costco seems to work all across the US. I've not had an issue. I'm sure there's some place, but I've not run into it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe.